To put it simply, the Ansary Entrepreneurship Competition is a huge opportunity for students.
The Ansary competition is a high-stakes elevator pitch competition where our senior design students transform their technical projects into potential business ideas.
It's incredible that it's now 10 years of this competition. I've been hosting it for many years, and to see the evolution and the quality of the competition it's totally inspiring.
Increasingly, we're hearing from industry that we want our students and our alumni to be able to communicate to the importance of their technical designs and their technical achievements. And that's really the opportunity that's given in this Ansary competition.
The Ansary competition sets Stevens apart in a big way. I'm not familiar with many competitions where there is a significant cash prize for a student-led project.
Stevens is unique because of our senior innovation course, which culminates in the Ansary competition, where students will then pitch their senior design projects as potential business ideas. They really get to work on not only their communication skills, but also understanding the technical impacts of their projects on wide audiences.
As an engineer, when you're developing a design, you really want to have your design address what the problem is. And I think adding the Ansary competition and sort of the entrepreneurial aspect is you're really identifying what's lacking in the market and what is the specific problem that you're trying to solve.
Understanding what this is really like in the real world, where building a new business is very challenging, the odds are against you, this is a great place to workshop what that's like.
It's not easy as a team. For some of us, it's just very nerve-wracking, and that myself included, it's very, very nerve-wracking. The strength of a team is each of its members, and each of the members, their strength is in the team. So we all just come together so great, and I think we're ready.
Yeah, to prepare our pitch, we went through a lot of rough drafts and a lot of practice with each other to work on crafting our pitch, how we were going to say it, what we were going to do on stage.
A lot of the skills that we picked up is just how to be in a team together and how to communicate. Just being organized and having everybody working on their thing, but also just communicating with each other. That's super important.
The judges for the competition always ask the best questions, really tough questions. The students rise to the occasion and answer those questions, having done the research and the legwork to have those answers.
The judges are incredible and come also from very different backgrounds. And so for the competitors to get critiqued by folks who are investors, who are from larger corporates, who are maybe from some service providers, who are experienced in the day-to-day nuances of what these things take to be successful, it gives them so much insight into the reality that they're going to face when they try to get outside these walls and build a real business.
The prize money was definitely helpful, especially because I did continue with this project and start an LLC. Having some money to back us up helped us go to conferences and spread the word.
Some students have taken, the money, it's given them a cushion to maybe try out a business opportunity idea, to try starting that business.
To the Ansary family, I would again say thank you so much. Your support means so much to me, to my team, to Stevens.
Just to encourage so many young professionals to just progress and just have a goal at the end of their year to present their project. I think it's an amazing experience, and I'm really grateful for that.
There is a family who says, we see value in this. We see value in what you're teaching in that classroom, so much so that we want to fund an end-of-year experience for them.
It is definitely a good idea to participate in the competition. It is absolutely worth it.
Going through this program exposes them to what's possible, exposes them to what it means to potentially start something from scratch, maybe get funding for that idea, and potentially even turn that into a career.
Good afternoon, everybody. Are you all excited? Good, I like this. All right, I am delighted that you're all here, and I want to welcome students, faculty, and our distinguished judges who are hiding somewhere back there, and they will be joining us very soon, and of course, many, many guests and some members of our students' family. We have now arrived at one of the most exciting highlights of our academic year and our Innovation Expo today, the so-called Ansary Entrepreneurship Competition. After spending the day exploring more than 200 truly remarkable student projects across the campus, and from all kinds of different disciplines, we now gather to witness the culmination of many months of hard work, innovative thinking, and entrepreneurial spirit. I am incredibly proud of the student teams who have participated in today's expo. The projects range from advanced medical devices that could transform healthcare, to robots that revolutionize agriculture, to systems that make our communities safer and more sustainable. And truly, these students really make us proud with their remarkable ingenuity and their willingness to tackle serious problems, some with very important practical implications. I especially want to thank the faculty advisors who have dedicated countless hours mentoring these extraordinary students. To the faculty, I would say your guidance and expertise have been instrumental in helping our students transform their ideas into viable solutions, some of which you will see and you will hear about today. This year marks a special milestone also, the 10th anniversary of the Ansary Entrepreneurship Competition. For a decade now, the Ansary family has been funding the top prizes in this annual pitch competition, enabling our students to take their innovative solutions beyond the classroom and into the marketplace. The generous prizes provide crucial seed funding that has helped launch numerous successful ventures. I have extended and I continue to extend my sincere gratitude to the Ansary family for their unwavering commitment to fostering entrepreneurship at Stevens and for their incredible generosity. We are now about to meet the students behind the final 6 projects. These teams have risen to the top amid extremely tough competition, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for all of us. I also want to extend my appreciation to our distinguished panel of judges who have generously volunteered their time and their expertise to evaluate these projects that we will hear about. Your insights and feedback are invaluable to our students as they refine their ideas and their business models. Now, before we begin the program, I need your permission to take a moment to make a special presentation to 2 individuals who work tirelessly, and they work behind the scenes to ensure this wonderful competition take place year after year. First is Dr. Sandra Clavio. Dr. Clavio is the Director of Undergraduate Studies in the Schaefer School of Engineering and Science. She's been heavily involved in organizing the Innovation Expo and the pitch competition since its inception more than a decade ago. She serves on the committee, is the unofficial historian for the Expo, and instructs and advises countless students. Dr. Clavio continues to be a key leader of the team that makes the Ansary competition possible. Sandra, would you please join me on the stage? Thank you very much. Why don't you come here and give her a big round of applause, please. Thank you very much for the good work. This was intended to be a surprise, and I hope it was somewhat of a surprise. Next is Matthew Wade. Matt is an adjunct faculty member in the Schaefer School who brings his entrepreneurial experience and passion for teaching to the Ansary competition. After serving as a final round judge in 2014 and 15, Matt joined our Expo committee in 2019 and has been instrumental ever since. Under his leadership, the competition has reached new heights, challenging students to extend beyond technical excellence and envision their capstone projects as truly marketable ventures. Matt's coordination of all competition rounds and his engagement with external judges has created a professional experience for everyone involved. For his decade of exceptional mentorship and his enduring impact on this program, we are profoundly grateful, and I'd like to ask Matt to also join me on the stage for a moment to receive a plaque. And now on to the program. I'd like to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Aaron Price. Aaron has served in this capacity for a number of years, and we are grateful for his continued involvement and support. Aaron Price is the CEO of Tech United New Jersey, the region's largest community of innovators, entrepreneurs, and investors, and co-founder of Better Future Labs. This is one word, by the way. It's not a German word. It's an English word, Better Future Labs, an AI startup studio. A serial entrepreneur and active investor, Aaron has built several startups, including DeliverU, eFordables, and most recently, Propelify, an innovation festival dubbed the South by Southwest of the Northeast. Did you follow this? South by Southwest of the Northeast by Forbes magazine, acquired by Tech United in 2019. He served as a tech expert for the Obama administration, the Wall Street Journal, and others. Aaron lives in Hoboken with his wife and with their favorite startups, his daughters, and the family dog, Moose and Milo. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Aaron Price. Aaron, where are you hiding? You're here? I'm over here. Very good. Thank you very much. This is mine.
My daughters might not be that happy with you because it's Milo, and they get very protective. It's okay. I like Milo. Sounds much fancier. It's a fancy dog. Hello, everybody. How you doing? When he said, "Are you excited?" before, it was like a reaction. So we got to try that again. Are you guys excited? Excellent. Dr. Varden mentioned I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. My first startup was in college. I'm old. That was in 1998. And I wished that something like this existed then. It would have saved me many years of my life and the mistakes that I had made and helped me hone my pitch. And so I have such a deep appreciation for this program at Stevens. I didn't know there were going to be surprise plaques, but if I were told, I would have made one for Dr. Varden. I've gotten to know him very well over the last decade. Hoboken was a different place when I first moved here, and the community's connection with this university, and this university's connection more broadly around New Jersey, and it's through his leadership that Stevens, I think, has elevated its stance, certainly in Hoboken and around really the world, but especially in New Jersey where we spend so much time. So I don't have a real plaque, but I hope you accept our appreciation. Can we give a round of applause for Dr. Varden? So let's get on with things. For those of you who are new to this competition, one other thing. There's a webcam somewhere. Only the front here, I think, can catch it. But the Ansary family is watching remotely. This is an awesome thing that they help promote. So you guys need to turn around and give them a big wave and a thank you. We should clap for them as well. So can we give a big round of applause to the Ansary family as well for being such generous supporters? Okay. So over the last 3 weeks, this competition's been open to the engineering, computer science, and business schools. Had 130 projects submitted, got whittled down to the top 50 in the semifinals, and today we're hearing the top 6, where they've actually been competing all week through the input of the judges on a Slack channel and their various other metrics they've been judged on. Today is their final presentation, where one will walk away with a $10,000 prize. The second place gets $5,000, and the third place, $2,500. But most importantly, while that sounds awesome and is pretty awesome, they'll have gotten so much support in how these projects might turn into actual businesses, where in fact, just a few years ago, we now know that one of those projects is now a full-time business. So without further ado, let's meet the judges. Can you clap them out for me as we go through these folks? First up, we have Jerry DiFiore from Reed Smith. Isabel Espina from ADP. Ooh, there we go. Juan Herrera from Madison Realty Capital. Matt Ketchke from Con Ed. Laura Paglione from Sans Regrets. Vivek Rajgaria from Poet Technologies. Come on, keep up the thunder, you can do it. Isabella Sarawick from Google. And Tyler Lang from NJ Fast. All right. While they get seated, each company has 3 minutes to present, followed by Q&A. Feel free to cheer for those who you are excited to support. And I believe we can get started with our first presentation from Savor.
Hello, everyone. As a host of the restaurant where I work right here in Hoboken, I'm in charge of keeping track of all the paper invoices that we receive from food and beverage distributors. Each of these invoices has to be stored physically and then compared against the actual payment when it's made online. And when a restaurant goes to make that payment, each food and distributor has their own payment portal with its own login. Now, this is easy if a restaurant only has a couple suppliers. However, most restaurants have over 10 or 15 suppliers, making the process of paying your vendors incredibly time-consuming and tedious. On top of that, ordering from vendors is often still done through calling or texting a sales representative, a process that is equally as unorganized and outdated. That's the problem that we are solving with Savor. My name is Will.
I'm Kara.
I'm Isabel.
I'm Nicole.
And we are Savor.
Today, we have service platforms like Grubhub and Uber Eats that connect consumers to restaurants. But there's no unified transaction platform that seamlessly connects a restaurant to all of its vendors. Savor is a software-as-a-service centralized platform that facilitates payment processing through Stripe Payments, a global leader in payment solutions, and provides a messaging portal between restaurants and their vendors. Users can place orders, manage their digital invoices, track inventory, and message the vendors directly without having to access 20 individual accounts. Savor reduces the time wasted on chasing sales representatives and minimizes order errors caused by miscommunication. Our platform will provide purchasing analytics so that restaurants can monitor their spending and price trends, allowing them to pinpoint any saving opportunities for them and improve overall optimization of their businesses.
Now that we've outlined the problem and our created solution, let's dive into how our business brings this all to life. Savor follows a transaction-based pricing model of 1% capped at $3 per order. This ensures that small businesses can use our platform and streamline operations without any significant expenses. As for vendors, they are able to use our platform at no cost, which increases their visibility. As for our go-to-market strategy, we plan to directly reach out to businesses in Hoboken, show them live demos, and answer any questions that they may have. We also plan to run a digital marketing campaign to hopefully get our word out there that we're a new business and we're looking for new clients. And we also have already created a landing page for anyone searching for vendor management solutions.
So that being said, Savor is as we continue to develop Savor into a scalable platform that redefines how restaurants and vendors manage ordering and payments, we are seeking a seasoned business advisor in addition to $50,000 for 5% equity, which will go towards marketing and technical enhancements. If you're passionate about transforming restaurant operations into a new platform, please join us. Thank you.
Nicely done. Anyone have a first question? Or am I just going to call on someone? Go ahead, Jerry. And also, as they answer their first question, I've asked them to introduce themselves as well.
Sure thing. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jerry DiFiore. I am a corporate lawyer with an international law firm, and I specialize in corporate transactions, which include things like venture capital investments, private equity investments, mergers and acquisitions, and capital markets activity. So I'm delighted to be a judge and enjoy being here. My question for the Savor team is as following. What are the key competitive differentiators that your product offers that existing products on the market do not demonstrate?
Sure. So if we look at the market of what products could possibly be used to help restaurants with this problem, there are some platforms that you would think of as bill pay platforms that manage accounts payable for small businesses. So these are like Bill.com, Melio Payments, and they're helpful with one side of the equation, which is getting payment from a restaurant to a vendor. On the other hand, you have platforms that are like Blue Cart, which is more of a marketplace, where distributors can actively upload their products, restaurants can go and buy and order products from there. The problem with this business model is that vendors have to be actively updating their product catalogs in order to be useful to restaurants. Our platform is different because we handle the payments, but if restaurants don't want to actively update their product catalog, we still have a messaging part where restaurants can still reach out to vendors through our platform. In other words, vendors don't want to be actively updating a new portal, and if they want to continue doing business, how they're doing business, and just start accepting payments through our platform, that is an option. They don't have to fully integrate unless they want to.
Is it okay for me to ask a follow-up question?
It is. If we could just be brief, because we want to make sure we get everyone, but yes.
Yes. How does your solution, if at all, integrate with a small business accounting software like QuickBooks or something like that?
Sure. So yeah, QuickBooks has a developer portal, which we've researched, and we are confident that we can connect through their API into QuickBooks so that, QuickBooks being the most commonly used accounting software by small businesses, we will certainly be able to pull, spending data for a restaurant's cost of goods and have that end up in QuickBooks. On top of that, some other integrations that are important are to integrations like Toast, part of the restaurant's point of sale system, which will help us create a real live inventory for a restaurant. So in other words, invoices that we're collecting are the inputs to the restaurant's inventory, while the POS system, or Toast, is the output of a restaurant's inventory. That gives us both sides of the inventory equation, and we have a real-time inventory.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Isabella Espina, Vice President of Product Development for ADP. I lead portfolio of three products that we develop for our clients in HCM. And I love the platform idea. One question for you all is, I don't know if you are, it says you're from the School of Business, so are any of you developers, or what's your plan in the first year to really build out the platform?
Sure, so our platform is roughly 70% done for an MVP. We've been able to get there from coding ourselves. We've all taken coding classes, and through largely advancements in AI coding, we've been able to create a fairly decent MVP, or at least 70% of it. And we're confident that we'll be able to create the integrations we need to when it comes to QuickBooks, when it comes to Toast, to build out this platform. We already have Stripe as our payments processing partner successfully integrated into the platform. And yeah, so we're confident that any other integrations that need to be done, we can make that happen.
Great, wonderful.
Go ahead, yeah, right down the line.
Hello, I'm Juan, Stevens grad. I work at Madison Realty Capital in construction and development. I also raise capital for distressed assets. So, question for you guys is, how did you arrive at your valuation? And also, have you thought about, at your price point, how long it's going to take for your business to be profitable?
Sure. So our valuation is based on looking at how many restaurants are in New Jersey specifically, which is 27,000, We take a haircut off that to about 18,000 of what our potential customers could be. We then look at how much revenue restaurants make in general in New Jersey, which is $10 billion. That brings out to a restaurant spending roughly $300,000 a year on their cost of goods. So that's what they're spending again to food and beverage distributors. So breaking that down, then we get to a monthly spend of somewhere in like the 30-ish thousand a month. And we're looking at a restaurant who honestly makes about 30 orders per month, 25 to 30 orders per month with a $3 fee. That brings us to a roughly $50 to $70 monthly revenue per customer, based on, I think, getting to about 200 or 300 customers by the end of year one. That brings us to our $1 million, our equity ask.
Last question. Laura?
I'm Laura Paglione. I'm a class of 90, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. Right now I'm working on a non-alcoholic bottle shop and beverage business. So my question is around vendors. You mentioned that the vendors would not pay and that the restaurants would. I'm curious what your value proposition is to the vendors themselves. How do you get them on the platform?
So that is a good question, and it's certainly something we've thought a lot about. The biggest part that we have, or the biggest feature that we've introduced that we think limits the friction to onboard a vendor is that they can keep doing the business the way they're doing. They just have to input where they want to be paid out to. So what financial information we need just to pay them out. So we think it's very frictionless for them to just start accepting payments. On top of that, as more customers or more restaurants get on the platform, we see Savor as becoming a new sales channel for vendors. So we are already, our target customer are restaurants, so we are looking to acquire more restaurants on our platform. Vendors will look at that and go, more customers. So we see this as sort of a new sales channel for vendors going forward if we have all the restaurants who want to order from them.
Excellent job. If you actually happen to raise raise funding for this, you can't take 5% for 50 grand. We can talk about that, but that's massively undervaluating what you're doing. Excellent work today. How about a big round of applause for Savor? The next group is DensiSense.
So as long as it's ballpark, semi-logical, okay? He's going to teach valuation.
Whenever you're ready.
Let's talk about something that affects every family. 1 in 8 women will face breast cancer in their lifetime. That could be your mother, sister, partner. It could even be someone in this very room. And for nearly half of women over 40, dense breast tissue not only increases their risk up to 6 times, it makes tumors harder to detect.
Early detection offers women a 99% survival rate. But for the past 15 years, self-exams have not been recommended, leaving millions of high-risk women without a way to monitor their breast health in between clinical screenings. That year-long gap is a window where cancer can quietly grow, unseen and undetected.
Women deserve better, and that's why we created DensiSense, the first AI-powered wearable that transforms outdated self-exams into smart, real-time breast health monitoring right at home. Our embedded sensors and proprietary AI detect abnormal tissue stiffness, one of the earliest signs of tumor growth.
The AI picks up on these subtle differences in breast tissue, allowing timely clinical follow-up. Just wear the bra, complete 2 quick 90-second scans, and get instant AI feedback through the app. If anomalies are found, a clinician from the user's care team is automatically alerted, reviews the flagged data, and calls them directly for follow-up screening. It's a hybrid model that combines the power of AI with real clinical oversight.
We've built a sustainable and scalable B2B2C model. Clinics license the device and services to patients with dense breasts through existing remote diagnostic reimbursement programs, similar to how glucose and cardiac monitors are reimbursed today. Patients pay nothing out of pocket, clinics improve on early detection rates, and insurers save millions by avoiding the high costs of late-stage cancer treatments.
Now, no more waiting. Just clarity when it matters most. Our team of passionate biomedical engineers is bridging the gap between self-monitoring and clinical detection, making early diagnosis more proactive, precise, and personal.
We filed our provisional patent and are on track to addressing the 32 million US women with dense breasts. With just 25,000 units, we project $7.5 million in annual revenue by year 5, proving strong revenue with minimal market penetration.
We're seeking $2 million for 15% equity to finalize our design, start clinical trials, complete FDA regulations, and scale manufacturing.
Because when it comes to the women we love, time is not only precious, it's life-saving.
It's time
to breast easy with DensiSense.
Nice job. Judges, go ahead.
Really nice job. So I'm Matt Ketchke, work at Con Edison. I'm a graduate from Stevens from 1995. So as you think about the AI model for this, you explain a little bit, does the model need to be trained against an existing data set to then make the comparison against each of the cases it's looking at?
So based on the way that we are training the model, when we go into clinical trials, we will be using a diverse set of patients, including age, ethnicity, breast composition, and sizes, and that will remain the baseline for the AI when the device is distributed to the patient. And the device has the ability to continue to learn with the patient's data itself as well, and continue to be updated and expand.
To add a little bit more to that, we plan to validate our DensiSense readings with mammograms or proven biopsies in order to validate and integrate it into current clinical systems.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Vivek Rajgaria, class of '89, been a photonics entrepreneur, a journey that started at Stevens with a senior design project, and presently setting up a company in India to bring that ecosystem to the country. So thanks again, and wonderful cause that you're working on. So one question is, how do you differentiate yourself with other solutions, and why would yours be adopted? It is a sensitive area, and a patient would be very selective, I would assume, you know? So, yeah, please.
In terms of potential competitors right now, all other breast health detection devices are clinic-bound, meaning that they are operated by the clinician, so the patient would still have to go into the clinic, whereas our device is being brought to the home setting, and it was created with the intention of remaining user-friendly, as we are using products very familiar to the women based on our membrane sensor being very similar to that of a sticky bra, and the inflatable compression bra on top being very similar to that of a sports bra, which is going to help with the onboarding process of our patients using the device. Additionally, where we differentiate ourselves from competitors is the fact that their devices are handheld devices, whereas we are using that wearable technology.
Good, Tyler. And before he goes, can the CL team make their way backstage, please?
I'm Tyler Lang. I'm the director of Plug and Play New Jersey, including NJ Fast, which is a fantastic partnership with Stevens Institute, Prudential Financial, and NJEDA around fintech and insurtech in the state of New Jersey. My question is around the regulatory hoops you may have to jump through. Do you have a sense of both the timeline and cost for those hurdles to clear?
So in terms of our regulatory process, we want to hire a regulatory consultant to help us through the process. But in terms of our research and what we do know is we are looking to be classified as a Class 2 medical device. So that means being non-invasive, non-diagnostic, which should help streamline that process, as well as the fact that as we that our device's indication of use is very similar to that of other remote monitoring-based devices that are already out there. So similar to heart rate monitors in Apple Watches, we would be using a similar indication of use where we are purely detection, non-diagnostic.
Isabella, you are the only remaining judge who has yet to ask a question.
Sure, I've got
She
one.
has been on this stage, by the way, so you should know this feeling.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Isabella Sarwick. I am a technical program manager at Google serving the public sector. As you can imagine, the intersection of AI and politics has been really interesting in the last couple of months. DensiSense team, first of all, congrats on your progress so far. My question is, can't help it, but technical in nature. So my question to you is about your sensors. What kind of sensors are you using? How are you being able to infer the density of the tissue? Are you doing that based on pressure or something else?
So we are using currently 5 force sensors and 1 pressure sensor, and we're using those sensors to determine stiffness values. As we said previously, tumors typically have they're 4 to 6 times stiffer than any other tissue in the breast. So that's kind of the hallmark we're using currently.
We've got time for one more. Go ahead, Jerry.
Given how critical it is to allocate use of proceeds from early financing rounds, I heard you say that you were going to use it for regulatory clearance, patent prosecution, et cetera, and then you talked about manufacturing. When you say that, do you mean that DensiSense would actually endeavor to produce the device itself, or do you mean that DensiSense would contract with others and manufacture the device to your specifications?
So based on our current plan, we are planning on working with local pneumatic medical device companies. So there are companies such as SunTech Medical and Welch Allen who specialize in devices that have inflatable parts to it, and they also are good with inflatable devices. So since our device uses an inflatable and uses those pressure sensors, we found that it would be best to work with those companies.
Thank you.
Excellent job. Can we get a round of applause for DensiSense? And we can welcome See All out. They're back there, yeah? See All, you're welcome to come out whenever you're ready. I know it's a little scary out here, but it's a good crowd. There you go. Whenever you're ready.
Imagine navigating a crowded city street and you're completely blind. Cars passing, people brushing by, bikes speeding past, no warning before a curb ends. That's the daily reality for millions like Jules, a blind college student who we spoke to prior to development, who shared her own experiences and those of her young visually impaired students. She told us, "I don't care about seeing everything that you see. I just don't want to get hurt." And she's not alone. 65% of the 39 million blind people worldwide experience at least one collision per week, leading to injuries, mounting medical bills, and lost independence. Today, 70% of the visually impaired are unemployed, often because of these emotional and physical barriers.
Guide dogs cost up to $50,000, and canes offer limited awareness in busy environments. Canes can also feel stigmatizing because of their size and visibility. So realistically, users are stuck between 2 options. One that's super expensive, one that might be embarrassing, and they just want another choice. That's why we created See All, cognitive assistance with LiDAR localization. Slip on the smart gloves, hang an iPhone on a lanyard around your neck, and its depth sensors will scan your surroundings. Each glove guides you through touch. There are small pointers that will make direct contact with the back of each hand. One will nudge you away from obstacles, so if there's a trash can on your right, the glove will slide left across your skin. And the other is a tactile compass, indicating the next turn towards your destination. That's it. No clunky hardware, a hands-free solution.
And the best part, our 2 gloves, onboard processing and onboarding app costs only $250, a fraction of the $2,000 plus for similar tech-based aids. With onboard processing, there's no lag or privacy risk, and it's compact enough to fit into everyday wear, something our users told us matters very deeply. Our market potential is worth over $3 billion, and with the purchase of our system, we ensure our users have, we ensure affordability for our users without sacrificing revenue, with warranty plans, financing options, and add-on accessories. And that's not all. Imagine firefighters running into fire and being able to see through smoke, their movements guided with pinpoint certainty. That's the power of inclusive design. It can help everyone.
We're seeking $100,000 for 10% equity to produce our first 250 units at $180 each. We'll produce through a US-based electronics manufacturer and launch direct-to-consumer sales. Because See-All is a Class 1 electronic vision aid, we skip multi-year trials. And within 150 days, we can gain FDA approval, launch, and generate revenue. In the following months, we'll continue to expand our business team, prepare for clinical trials, safety testing, and legal groundwork. These efforts will secure coverage from major insurers and a successful market adoption. Vision loss shouldn't mean opportunity loss. Join a movement. Become more than an investor. Be a change maker. Be a partner to our proprietary system. This deal expands your footprint into the high-growth medtech sector. Now, with See-All, we're not just designing a device. We are redefining independence for millions. Because mobility, it isn't a privilege, it's a right. And now, doing it safely and confidently is within reach. Thank you.
Well done. Judges, questions?
So, good job, and definitely an important cause that you're working on. So on a technical side, if I understand you correctly, you're going to use an iPhone as a LiDAR, right? So what is the range that the LiDAR within the cell phone can get to, and what's the reaction time so the patient or the one using it can understand what to do?
So that range of the LiDAR is up to 10 meters that can accurately identify. However, we have decided through our testing that 4 meters would be the optimal range. As for the user's ability to respond to stimuli, we've timed it to around 300 milliseconds. Our product would update our hardware device.
Yeah, thank you, Vivek, for this question. That's definitely a concern that we had. Not only does it see 4 meters in front, it gives like 180 visual, so you can detect objects like curbs down below and trees above you. We can also expand this in the future to include other sensors that could maybe detect fast-moving things at a larger distance. Thank you.
Other questions? Yes.
See-All team, I'm curious about the materials that you're using and how you will make this feel really socially acceptable and comfortable for your users.
So with the materials that we're using, right now we just have a normal glove, but obviously our design is very modular, and it can be incorporated into numerous types of gloves. And we can make this really customizable for our users, offering summertime options that are more breathable and wintertime options that are a little bit more cozy. So we can also adapt it even to be outside of a glove, just with like a wristband that could maybe go around the hand or wrist. So there's a lot of possibilities with this. We could also even look into wearable technology that Google's coming out with right now. Thank you.
I would like to add to that. As for the modular piece itself, right now we're making it out of plastic due to what we're given through the school, but we could expand that to a different material that's perhaps waterproof and more durable to other weather conditions in the future.
Were you able to make a prototype?
Yes, we are able to make a working prototype. If you all came by our booth earlier, I know some of the judges did, and we have our glove right now working. It's a little bit crude with some wires, but obviously as we go forward to a more professional means of manufacturing, we can make it a lot more elegant.
Question, yes.
Could you expand a little bit more on your scaling plan? If I heard you right, it sounded like you would take the initial investment, build 150 units, and try to sell those directly out, as opposed to you're past the point of prototyping and testing and you're comfortable in the safety to actually put this out with actual users, or is there a step in there I missed on some additional real-world testing as opposed to rolling it directly out?
Right, thank you so much, Matthew, for this question. So the basic timeline that we would be doing is producing 250 units across the next 6 to 8 months. Initially, those units are going to be used for a 90-day IRB program so that we can get our product out to our initial pilot users and get some more feedback, refine the product, do some iterations of our MVP. And then after that process, we'll need another 30 to 60 days for a 510K application in order to get FDA approval, in which case we'll continue manufacturing and launch.
Question? We've got a little bit more time. Tyler?
So I want to hear a little bit more about the addressable market. You mentioned there's 39 million folks worldwide that are visually impaired, and you also mentioned a firefighter use case. I'd love to hear more about the latter and how you see that, how you see yourselves growing into that market.
So initially, we set off to develop a product for the visually impaired, and that was our primary target market. And then through working with the project, we kind of realized that our technology, especially our hardware device, it's one of its kind, and we can definitely, get a patent for that. But that technology, in terms of other sensors, we can utilize other sensors. It can be used in any type of low vision environment, and we see that potential. So for example, firefighters, scuba diving, any sort of cave exploration. So that expands our market significantly, even though it's in addition to the 39 million blind people.
Right. The core idea here is that we're taking sensor data and making it haptic, giving a haptic feedback. That's what's really unique about our piece. It's not auditory, it's just haptics.
Go ahead, last question.
Great idea. One question is how much, field data has your model collected? And it sounds like you're going to pilot very quickly. So what do you imagine that you'll need as far as additional time to ensure that the model is fairly accurate?
Right, thank you for that question. Obviously, the IRB program would give us the most exposure, but before that, we can continue doing a few maybe low-key pilot user tests with organizations like an organization was brought to our attention yesterday, the Lighthouse Guild, just across the river in New York. They work with visually impaired people on new devices and research programs. We could get in touch with them and just field maybe just 1 or 2 prototypes, see how it is, make any initial changes that we need to make before we go to manufacturing. Thank you.
Great,
I also wanted to add that, currently we mainly got to speak with another blind individual named Jules, as we mentioned in our pitch, and she attends a blind university that has a really good program for the blind as well, and she's also a teacher for the visually impaired. So for us, we spoke to her before we even started working on the project, so it really helped us address the gaps in the market very early on, and she was kind of our liaison into representing the visually impaired community, but moving forward, we would definitely want to test it with her and other users as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent job, round of applause. And you guys can go, thank you very much. Next up is Selvax. Go ahead, yeah, whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Olivia Kane. I'm here with Charlotte Lee and Katie Coons, and we are Selvax Tech. So imagine, a new flu strain emerges in October. Hospitals and urgent cares begin to fill by November, and by December, it's everywhere. Schools begin to shut down, the elderly are urged to isolate, and we're left scrambling. Not because we lack the proper science, but because we are still relying on an egg-based vaccine production model that hasn't fundamentally changed in 80 years. It's a rigid process. It takes 6 months after strain selection to produce a viable vaccine. So if we're hit with a pandemic or a shift in strain, our current model fails to scale to meet any new demands. It's also a fragile process. Since 2022 to present day, over 168 million poultry have been affected by avian influenza, leading to death and depopulation, threatening our vaccine production at its source. This is a structural weakness. So we're re-engineering the foundation. We're building resilience into the system so we could work smarter, faster, and protect people before the next crisis hits.
So we have developed a highly detailed step-by-step framework for a scalable insect cell-based vaccine production process for the influenza vaccine. Although we aren't producing the vaccine itself, we are providing manufacturers with an optimized cell-based method used to produce the flu vaccine. Our system can meet the entire US demand by producing 156 million doses in just 80 days, cutting down production time by 43% and cost by 37%. We are confident that the regulatory tide is shifting, and our flow diagram will help bridge this gap between egg-based and non-egg-based production. Initially, we will work with small, established US-based manufacturers looking to adopt a cell-based framework like ours, and in our first year, we aim to support at least 5 of these companies through testing and iteration for data.
Based on our estimates, the US influenza vaccine market exceeds $2.3 billion annually, with only 2 major companies utilizing this cell-based method in order to produce the influenza vaccine. So there's so much room to grow within this industry, and we're not just limited to the influenza vaccine. This cell-based process can be used to convert other egg-based vaccine processes as well. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, other egg-based vaccines include MMR, rabies, and yellow fever, all of which can be converted to the cell-based process for more widespread and safer protection. After initial testing and validation, we will license this framework to major manufacturers at $250,000 with optional integration and production support from skilled engineers at $100 per hour. Then after the framework is fully implemented, we will be charging a 5% royalty per dose. So we're asking for support in the form of mentorship, financial support, including identifying and accepting grants, and also regulatory insights. To start this venture, we'd be offering 8% equity to get the right advisors on board.
Judges, we know this sounds big, because it is. For nearly a century, companies have used this egg-based model, but now is the perfect time for change. Big breakthroughs don't occur with small thinking. They start with bold teams who are willing to challenge the status quo. We're not imagining a better future, but rather designing the framework for it, and we are the team to do it. Thank you.
Yes, Isabel.
Great job and big problem, as you said. Can you talk a little bit about how you've validated this process in the lab, that gives you the credibility to go to a manufacturer and say, we have a better way than what you all have been doing all this time?
Of course, I can answer that question, absolutely. So our process is heavily research-based. Now, unfortunately, we weren't working in a lab. I don't think they would let us work with viruses on Stevens campus. But we did do a lot of research to validate the process that even though we're starting with a cell-based process, we're still ending with the same result in terms of efficacy. So we're still ending with 45 micrograms of the antigen we need to have a viable vaccine. We went through purification processes to ensure that we're not infecting with any other biological antigen, virus, or bacteria. Now, our goal is to work with small manufacturers to actually test this. We would like to patent our IP so that we can license it to smaller manufacturers and scale it down to around maybe 1,000 doses of the influenza vaccine. So that way we can test for any pain points. Our initial product, we were overproducing by about 6%, so we were producing 156 million doses when the US this season only needed about 148. So we already assumed we would have some loss of yield throughout the process, but we don't know exactly where we would be losing it, so that's why we would want to work with those smaller manufacturers.
So the working with manufacturers would be actually how you're testing?
Yes, that would be our main source of validation.
Got it, okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So, and I don't know a whole lot about vaccines, but I have heard that the egg-based process that we followed in this country for a long time, it's a bit rigid and not flexible. Is this process more flexible and has the ability to scale faster? Is that one of the benefits? If so, could you tell me a little about it?
Yeah, of course, I'd absolutely love to answer that. So in terms of the scalability, the reason why the egg-based process is so inflexible is because the sheer amount of eggs you need to produce. So for every single dose of the vaccine, you need about 2 eggs, meaning if for the US you wanted to produce 156 million doses, you need 312 million eggs. Processing those eggs alone by incubating them, inoculating them, and then doing a second incubation steps takes months and a lot of work and labor to monitor these eggs to actually ensure they're fertilized, to make their to make sure that they were properly inoculated. So the reason why the cell-based process is more flexible is, first and foremost, the eggs, you can actually have a range. We assume 2 eggs per dose, but it can range anywhere from 1 to 3 eggs necessary. So that brings in a biological variability to this process. But when we're working with a cell-based process, we know exactly at what point the cells were grown to and when we have to inoculate it to then allow for an incubation step. So it's a much more easy to identify step and how we're doing it, and you only have to worry about 1 bioreactor for 1 strain of the vaccine. We would be creating a trivalent dose, meaning 3 different strains, so 3 bioreactors versus 3 million eggs, or 300 million eggs, sorry.
Also, just to add on to that for context, when we use the cell-based method, to replace the function of the eggs, we're starting with what we call a seed vial of insect cells. It's like a small glass vial, contains 1 × 10⁷ cells per milliliter. And when you add growth media to that, you can kind of grow it to whatever volume you want. The more seed vial you have, the more volume you can grow. So you start off small and you can grow to as big as you really want it to, so it has that scalability factor with it.
So definitely an important endeavor, and yeah. My question is around the business model. Concern is, how do you retain, even if you patent it, and so have you thought of, is there any way you can retain a step in the process that only you offer, or a component or material that only you can supply, something unique, so whoever you're licensing to is dependent on you?
Yeah, so what we're patenting exactly would be the step-by-step process. So what technique goes to what technique goes to what technique in order to produce the vaccine all the way at the end. And that is something that would be unique to us and not what other manufacturers or consulting firms would give. The equipment, materials, and utility information is not something that we can patent because the goal with our project is not to produce the vaccine product itself, but to help these vaccine manufacturers transition into the cell-based platform. So the equipment, materials, and utility requirements would depend on which manufacturer we start with, what they already have, and what we can do with what the existing facilities that they currently own.
What sort of investment costs do these small manufacturers need in order to start working with you?
So our team has thought a lot about this. So in terms of investment costs, it's really, so let me explain a little bit surrounding the manufacturing plants. The reason we would start with smaller manufacturers in the first place is because larger manufacturers won't really take the time to stop the current process and products they're making. They'll actually license out parts of a process to smaller manufacturers for testing. They're usually referred to as either smaller manufacturers or pilot plants. So sometimes the smaller manufacturer might already have the facilities, but there are usually larger manufacturers backing these facilities to do the R&D so they can see if this is a viable test or a viable process, and then they can bring it back to the larger manufacturer. So it's less of the smaller manufacturer putting in that investment. We assume they already have a set amount of equipment that we would be able to move over to this process, but we would also assume a larger manufacturer is most likely backing them in some regard.
Yeah, and rather than an investment, we're more so looking for also like a willingness to try this new process, because like Olivia mentioned, the small manufacturers are like pilot plants, and if it's more about the willingness about how when they want to utilize this method and also provide that data, because in the end they will get the return, because we have a significant decrease in cost and time when utilizing this cell-based method. So rather than an investment, it's only an improvement onto their process.
Last question.
We understand that the cell-based method has been around for a long time, but for whatever reason hasn't been used in the influenza arena or perhaps other arenas. But what exactly is it about your production method that is novel and not obvious to someone skilled in the art that would support the issuance of a patent? I just don't see that.
So I think in terms, as Charlotte said before, it is truly a step-by-step process. So there's only 2 current companies that actually have an insect cell-based vaccine on the market, CSL Seqirus and Sanofi. And those have only started in 2012, where they actually approved by the FDA. So it is still pretty recent and new technology, given the fact that the influenza vaccine, the egg-based method, has been around since 1945. So in terms of patenting, it would really just be our step-by-step framework going from one step to another. Manufacturers currently, we don't have the process as a whole. This is not something companies regularly give out. This isn't information we were able to find online. We were able to put research together of how the steps would flow together. And that's mainly what we would patent, is that step-by-step process.
And also what's novel is the transition aspect of our project. So we're not just providing a framework, we're really working to work with egg-based manufacturers that already exist and utilize the facilities that they already have, so then tailor these frameworks and the scalability to what they currently own so that they can very easily transition onto this cell-based platform, because we're also providing the framework and we're also providing the integration and production support from like the engineers that are very skilled in this. It's not like customer service or anything. It's way beyond that. It's people that are thoroughly knowledgeable about what we're doing, and they're able to make it so that this transition process is as easy as possible and as easy to adapt.
Okay, thank you.
Well done. We are out of time. Next up, we have HeraHealth. Come on out. Whenever you're ready.
Our team is driven by a simple but powerful goal: to save lives. Postpartum hemorrhage is the leading cause of pregnancy-related deaths worldwide. It affects 1 in 10 mothers, which equals 14 million mothers each year. And here in the United States, mothers are 10 times more likely to die than other high-income countries. But why is this happening?
Currently, there is no technology on the market to accurately quantify postpartum blood loss. Doctors must rely on examining soaked pads for predictions, a method that's only 11% accurate. And in underfunded hospitals, women could be left alone for up to 6 hours in between routine health checks.
Despite bleeding lasting for weeks after delivery, mothers receive little to no guidance on the warning signs or when to seek help. The result? Treatment becomes reactive, raising the risk of severe complications or even death.
This must change. And that's why we've developed the first mobile application to monitor for postpartum hemorrhage. Mothers can upload images of their pads to receive real-time blood loss metrics with the option to alert a doctor or emergency contact as it approaches the hemorrhaging threshold.
Powered by AI and tested to be 97% accurate, our app empowers women to take back control of their health care while simultaneously providing doctors with the data they need for proactive treatment. In just 1 year, 3 New York Presbyterian hospitals will spend $5.5 million on reactive treatments, meaning earlier detection could save millions annually. But most importantly, our app can save lives, because every mother must be able to bring life into the world without having to risk her own.
There is not just an unmet need, but a hole in the market. The US alone sees 3.6 million births annually, representing a $27 million market opportunity. Our initial one-time purchase model is priced at $7.50 to maximize accessibility and encourage early adoption.
We're already building direct demand with mothers through a growing Facebook community. Our co-founders have worked closely with both hospitals and OBGYNs to support our long-term vision: a subscription-based model for hospitals, scaled by patient volume, ranging from $1,500 to $5,000 annually. Because we're not just developing a product, we're building the future of postpartum care.
We're seeking $150,000 in investment to cover FDA regulatory costs and targeted access to your networks. In return, we're offering 10% equity in the company.
And people are starting to notice. Our all-female team was the only group invited to present this work at the Stevens Computer Science Town Hall. And just yesterday, we spoke at the Stevens School of Engineering and Science board meeting.
In the past few minutes alone, 130 women have hemorrhaged. For centuries, we've been reacting. But this is the year where we finally take a proactive stand with the HeraHealth app and provide women with life-saving technology right in the palm of their hand. Thank you.
Well done. Questions from judges? Laura, I'm coming to you soon. You're a little low on questions. Or now. I track it here. They got to participate.
Thank you very much. I'm curious about your interaction with the women who will be using your app. How do they learn about it? And this is sort of a switch of a question. Also, how did you come up with the price?
Yeah, so we've already surveyed mothers across several United States, and we've been able to learn from them, and the comfort that our app provides outweighs the discomfort that there is around postpartum hemorrhaging and uploading maternal pads. Now, through our application, we already have several educational modules that women can learn about the risks around postpartum hemorrhage, the causes, and a lot of the information around that we've already gathered by looking through different resources from our clients because they were previous biomedical engineering students. And we've been able to join several local community-based Facebook groups and get the word out about the risks and the dangers around postpartum hemorrhage. If you'd like to speak about the pricing.
In terms of the pricing of the app, we priced it at $7.50 because it would provide us with enough revenue to continue running the servers and like technical upkeep in the back end, but it's still cheap enough that mothers will have access to it no matter where they are.
Yes, Isabel.
Nice job, HeraHealth team. My question is about a common hurdle around AI solutions, which is the cold start problem. So how will you obtain the data that you need to ensure that even your earliest users have accurate results?
Yeah, so we've already trained our AI model on nearly 1,000 different images of maternal pads at different blood loss volumes, oxidation levels, as well as lighting conditions. And what our algorithm does is it quantifies postpartum blood loss by looking at different patterns of blood loss on images of maternal pads. And it's able to correlate those patterns with quantifiable blood loss metrics. Now we are looking to improve. We've already acquired a 97% accuracy through training within the past year. But our solution offers an adaptable solution that can further be enhanced with just more training data. So what we've already done is our co-founders have worked closely with both hospitals and OBGYNs, but we also have gained our own connections with OBGYNs where we'll be looking to conduct clinical trials on real-world data to improve our algorithm with Dr. Lance Brooke after graduation.
Matt?
So I think one of the things you mentioned with your initial investment you'd be looking to do is that would help fund seeking FDA approval. What approval do you think is necessary for this, and what would that process look like?
Absolutely. So we will be a Class 2 medical device because our medical imaging software is classified as a software as a medical device. And so most of our funding will be towards that FDA clearance pathway. But we've already met with a HIPAA compliancy expert early on into development to ensure the security and the privacy of our data. And what that does is we've already documented how our data is used throughout the application to ensure that personal identifiable data is not linked directly to patients themselves. And so we will be using that documentation to streamline the FDA process, which can take around 6 to 12 months. But because we've already gathered that documentation, it'll be much faster and it's much more predictable.
Tyler, I'm looking at you.
How would you make it easy and efficient for doctors to take advantage of the technology you've built?
Yeah, so we've already developed a clinician dashboard that doctors will be able to use right now. And what that does is that they'll be able to view the real-time blood loss metrics of their patients right away. And so it doesn't need to be integrated into EHR systems off the bat. However, as we look to further expand different features within our application, our software is comprised of many different components that are already communicating with each other. And so because of that, it makes it very easy for our application to be able to communicate with those EHR systems in the future.
Jerry, you've had some good questions today. Anything to add? Honestly, I don't. Going with a no. It tells me that I'm going to keep making them stand up here for someone else to have a question. Juan, what do you got? Okay, we got one.
I would like to hear more about your pilot process. So what organizations are you engaging with? Do you have a sense of how many women you want to have in your first pilot cohort? And what KPIs are you going to track to ensure that you're moving in the right direction?
Yeah, so when we've already surveyed mothers, we asked them if they would like to be beta testers, and several women have already signed up and are very willing to want to help us in the development of this product. Now, we've reached out to other OBGYNs and other, we're looking to also look at reaching out to the midwives of New Jersey because they have a very big outreach to different mothers across New Jersey, and so we'll be looking locally first because hemorrhaging is happening right here in Hoboken, New Jersey City, and New York.
Yep, last one.
In order for the data to be accurate, is it that the mom has to, every single pad has to be captured, or is there some sort of threshold? Or
So basically, doctors already recommend changing maternal pads every 2 hours. So our app just adds one extra step, and that's taking a photo of the pad. And it's not something that the mother herself has to do. Like a partner, or if there happens to be a nurse nearby, could also help with the process. And even if they took a photograph of their pad a bit late, our algorithm adjusts for that oxidation.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you'd like to add on.
Yeah, just like simply one upload will help even doctors get insight into, as we will provide like actual metrics. So the doctor will also be able to gain insight into help addressing whatever condition and assess that risk, even if the mothers won't like regularly upload an image.
Okay, so you don't, you know, one image, it gives enough information that it doesn't have to be, you know.
Yeah, like current methodologies are just not accurate at all, and there is no technology to quantify for the entirety of the postpartum period, which is specifically what we're addressing, and because mothers can bleed for up to 12 weeks after delivery. So even by uploading just one pad, that gives doctors and mothers both more information than what is currently out there, because our algorithm is 97% accurate. And so they'll be able to view their total blood loss because it's calculated by within the past 24 hours, cumulative pictures that have been taken. But with that, every single upload that is taken, it gives you the amount of blood loss as well as a timestamp. So you'll be able to see relatively the different blood loss trends and how that is going forward throughout your day.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent job. Can we get a round of applause?
Thank you.
You can go back. And can CardioLink make its way out?
We're missing a score.
This is the last one. Just make sure you get all your scores. CardioLink, whenever you're ready. I feel like you should have clapped him on that one. Can we show him some love? Whenever you're ready.
Heart failure. 2 words that change everything. It was 2019. My family had gathered for the holidays when my grandmother started feeling short of breath and weak. I can still see us, standing together, watching as the ambulance took her away. That hospital visit turned into another, which turned into one more. She passed less than 3 months later. Tragically, her story isn't unique. Each year, over 1 million Americans are hospitalized with heart failure, and 1 in 4 patients return in just 30 days. Why? Care breaks down at home. Medications get missed, symptoms change, and doctors don't realize before it's too late. It leaves families wondering, what more could they have done? I'm Robert, and with Reese, Panos, and Sean, we built CardioLink to change that.
CardioLink is a tabletop home health appliance that pulls in weight, heart rate, mood, and medication activity through simple Bluetooth sensors alongside a built-in pill dispenser. Our proprietary multi-factor health index takes in-patient data and sends it to clinicians in a single score, giving them real-time alerts to detect problems early. It's protected, HIPAA compliant, and designed to integrate with hospital workflows. And while other platforms rely on manual data entry or invasive monitoring, CardioLink offers a simple, easy-to-use device built for the realities of home recovery. It's as our clinical partner at Hackensack Meridian Health said, the beauty of this device is how simple it is.
Because patients want comfort, hospitals want fewer penalties, and insurers are desperate for cost-effective ways to reduce readmissions, which cost the U.S. over $15 billion each year. Just a 1% reduction would translate to over $150 million in annual savings. Our revenue model is simple. Hospitals purchase the device for $450, and patients subscribe to the platform for $50 a month, eligible for Medicare reimbursement. We're in early discussions with Hackensack for a pilot to prove a measurable impact on readmissions. For this, we'll use a simplified version of the device and simulates the full user experience without the FDA delays. From there, we'll expand across local hospital networks and payers.
We're seeking $300,000 and for the right strategic partner, up to a 25% equity stake. This initial funding secures our intellectual property, finalizes development, and helps launch the pilot. From there, we seek FDA approval for our whole system and market entry. We project $3.2 million in revenue with 70% gross margins by year 3 post-approval, largely driven by the recurring software subscriptions and hospital sales. But for us, it's not about the money. Beyond engineers, we're first responders, caregivers, and family members. We have felt this firsthand. Help us bring CardioLink to life, because heart failure doesn't wait, and neither should care. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Go ahead.
So definitely sounds like compelling what you're providing value. My question is more around market adoption. What other home care, cardiac solutions are available, and why would someone use yours versus those others?
Great question. Thank you, Vivek. There's a lot of different options on the market. Some of them are invasive, so that won't be open to all types of patients, and others are solely apps. So there's an app called Medley that does what we do, but it's all manual data entry. So there's no automated connection, there's no connection to the provider, and it relies on that patient to remember to put in their data. We are offering something that it combines all those elements. So you still get that early intervention that providers can use to prevent those hospital readmissions in a low effort package that can just sit on their tabletop. It's easy to use. It's integrated to work with their daily routine.
You mentioned that your product potentially could be eligible for reimbursement. Can you walk us through that process as to what would be required for your product to be eligible for that?
Of course. So our business model, our primary customer would be the hospitals. So the hospitals would purchase the hardware up front, and then they would be responsible for the $50 a month patient subscription. There's a Medicare reimbursement code that will reimburse the provider up to $48 a month. And there's also other reimbursement codes for the hardware itself. So that's how we anticipate reimbursing. Yeah.
I'm curious about why a device. There's so many of these kinds of products that are delivered on a phone or on a tablet or something like that that the person might own. Why do you choose a device?
Can I ask a question to her?
Sure.
To respond?
You have the mic.
Do you have a refrigerator in your home?
I do. I have several.
Good for you.
Can I ask a question? How many refrigerators are we talking about here?
How often do you use that refrigerator?
It depends on how you define use.
Well,
it's always there, yes.
Right, so you use it because it sustains you. That's what is giving you life. So the idea in an environment that's so saturated by apps, how many apps do I have on my phone? Dozens. Do I use them all? No. So by having this product as an at-home appliance will help engage those patients, because now it's not just a tech gizmo or something on their phone, it's a part of their household, and that if they see it, they'll use it.
Thank you.
Yep.
So in this device, what sensors do you see being in the kind of the fully blown, fully developed product? You mentioned a pill dispenser. So what information are you gathering off of the patient that you ultimately roll back to the provider?
Yeah, so the idea behind the entire CardioLink device is to remain modular. So right now we're considering weight as a main factor, heart rate variability, and blood pressure, along with a few others. So mood, medication adherence being a few of them. But like I said, the main goal is to remain modular and adjust to the patient, so we can expand and adjust in the future to accommodate for all varieties of issues and patients we may come across.
Kind of a follow-up question to that. So are you planning to partner? So you're developing the platform, but you have to partner now with like a pill dispenser, a weight, some blood pressure. So how are you working that as far as what are the appropriate complementary inputs to your platform?
So we're still validating that, and we're still figuring that out. We originally, when we were developing the prototype, we purchased commercial off-the-shelf Bluetooth scales because that's a big element to it. We found that a lot of these have proprietary keys that require proprietary knowledge to be able to get that data. So we developed an in-house Bluetooth sensor, but we intend to create a whitelist of devices. We'll go through, do testing to see what commercial products are compatible and can connect to the system. So currently right now, everything's in-house. So there's a pill dispenser built into the unit. There's a heart rate sensor also built into the unit. But it does have Bluetooth connectivity to provide that scale in the future.
Great, thank you.
You indicated that you would be seeking $300,000 in equity capital for the uses you indicated. You then later on said that you'd expect, I think by year 3, maybe, to be generating 3-point-something million in revenue. What's your plan with respect to raising additional capital after you've consumed the $300,000 but before you're generating revenue to stabilize operations?
Great question. So the $300,000 will get us through development and then run the pilot. So the 6-month pilot, at the end of that, based on our results, then we're going to open up, do a second round of funding. So we'll identify partners who have experience in the healthcare space, who have connections with hospital networks and medical device distribution companies, and go from there. So the intent is to get the $300,000, get us through the pilot, and once we prove that there's either a reduction in readmissions, if there's improved clinical engagement, or if providers like it and these interventions turn into, or if the alerts turn into interventions that would prompt getting a patient out of the hospital, or preventing them from getting in the hospital.
Thank you.
Another question, sorry, along what Laura asked you and your response on the refrigerator. So whenever you have a device, you need to service it.
Correct.
And things. So what have you thought of in your business plan about servicing and things like that?
So we anticipate that the lifespan of the device will probably be anywhere from 5 to 10 years. However, the constraint is how long the patient needs it and the patient will use it. So we'll continuously monitor remotely the status of the sensors. So if there's anything offline, then that can prompt us to send somebody out to help kind of identify, maybe collect the device, give them another one while we're trying to service the issue. And then we're also intending to refurbish the device. So after that first user uses it, we take it back, identify which components need replacing, and then put it back into service. Yes, internally at first, depending on how big it scales, if we go to 1,000 patients, 6,000 patients, then we'll probably have to have other partners to help with that.
How do you handle patient data? Is that resident on the device, or are you bringing it back to a server, and how do you secure that?
Yeah, so patient data gets inputted into the device, and the goal is to then take that file, the CSV file that all the data saves into, and then move it into a database that is cloud secured. I believe it would be underneath the clinician, and they will hold that data, but it's still important to note that the patient has to sign something to allow them, that they understand that this data is going to a clinician, they understand that, in order to proceed through it.
We are out of time. Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that concludes all 6 presentations. I've given a lot of pitches in my life, and it can be a very nerve-wracking experience. And I've hosted, I don't know, maybe 1,000 startup pitches. And it's incredible how nerve-wracking it can be, and how often, even when I tell people you have 5 minutes sharp or I will cut you off, how many people go over time. And every single one of the pitches today stayed within their allotted 3 minutes. And I also thought did a fantastic job. So can you guys, while they're coming out, can you all stand for a moment, the teams? Can we give them a big round of applause? Excellent job. If you're one of the judges and you haven't yet submitted all your scores, please make sure you do that so we can get these, determine who the winners are. Also, Dr. Varden and Provost, if you can come up for the delivery of the giant checks, one of my favorite moments. I'm curious how many people in here are students with Stevens? Raise your hand. How many of you are family members of students and teams? I don't even know who else. Faculty. I didn't ask about faculty. Interesting. Well, thank you for joining us. Last year when I was here, we were talking about the impact of AI on society, and I read a poem that AI had written, and the amount of progress that we've made for what has been a very long year for AI has been absolutely incredible. I think you could especially note with almost each of these companies mentioned their use of AI, whether it was in assisting them to build the product or how the product itself impacted their ability to deliver the product. And so if you are building something and not thinking about how AI is critical in the process, I'd encourage you to think about that. I also noted that at a time when science and technology is sort of under attack, you don't need to look much further than this stage, I think, to feel inspired about what's possible. Nariman shared, I'm a co-founder of a company called Better Future Labs, where we look to build new companies that we hope to build a better future. And I think all of these companies here, I'm sure many more of the projects would qualify alongside that mission. And so, Matt, how are we doing on scores? Getting there? You need a minute? Keep going? Okay. You might regret giving me this mic. Yeah, we could do a poem. I will take a moment to share something about the opportunity in New Jersey. For those of you who are from the area or interested in the economic development of these sorts of businesses staying and growing in New Jersey, there are some significant headwinds. There are two things in particular, but I'll share one, which is something called, this is going to be a little dense, but I feel like in a room like this, there's a lot of smart people, you'll understand what I'm talking about. There's a federal policy called QSBS, which is an incentive, it stands for Qualified Small Business Stock. It's actually an exemption that basically gives folks who exit a business, who sell their business, up to a $10 million tax-free capital gain on their federal taxes. It's an enormous incentive for folks who are investing in companies like we've seen here to take those risks at the highest, most likely time of failure, the earliest formation of a business. 45 states around the country recognize this QSBS policy at the state level, so you also get that same treatment on your state capital gains tax in 45 states except New Jersey. So we have introduced, it's a big problem. In fact, we have a letter that's signed by, I think now 400 entrepreneurs, many of whom you might have known from consumer brands, talking about how they won't invest in the state, how they've left the state. Some, as we were soliciting them, were saying, I just moved to Florida for this exact reason. So for those of you who want to see New Jersey thrive in this innovation economy, who want to see students who are building things like this and companies here, I hope that you'll support. There's a bill introduced. We are championing this effort. But if you're interested in seeing this happen, we would love your advocacy. There's actually a narrow window right now where we hope it will pass in the governor's budget this June. So like I said, I know it's slightly dense, but very easy to comprehend by the gasps in the room. It's an enormous problem when you can go right across that nice river and get that favorable QSBS treatment in New York and in 44 other states. So please consider joining the effort on that one. How are we doing, Matt? I got lots of commercials here if you got more. That's fortunate. That's okay. So, here we go. Again, as a reminder, third place prize, $2,500. Second place prize, $5,000. First place prize, $10 million. So, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if maybe they're watching. Maybe, I don't know, they can up their game a little bit. Come on, Ansaris. $10,000, which is very meaningful and bragging rights for all these teams. I know I've been making you do a lot of clapping, but I have been on these stages many, many times myself as the entrepreneur, and it takes a lot of guts to do these things. So can we give one final round of applause to all these teams? Okay. Where are the giant checks? Can we have the delivery of the giant checks come on out? Or are they going to come out with it? Well, we're going to assume this is going to be well coordinated. It's going to come out on time. Can you guys give me like tap your legs, give me a drum roll situation happening here? In third place, with the first giant check, is HeraHealth. Come up on stage, please. Congratulations. Excellent job. Matt, do we want them to stay on stage or off to the side? You guys just you could stay on stage off to the side. All right, give me a drum roll again, please. In second place, DensiSense. I'm sorry, DensiSense. All right. And the winner of the Ansary competition. There, yeah, now you know what's going on here. CardioLink. Good job. Congratulations. Good job, guys. Good job. And can all the teams look over here really fast? Look over here. They didn't listen. All right. Congratulations to all the teams. Can you guys come together for one giant picture? So since some of you are leaving, before you head out, please know everyone is invited to a reception in the Bobbio Atrium. And lastly, can we give a round of applause to the judges? It does take quite a bit of their time to score all these. And with that, thank you for joining us this year.